All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Bungou Stray Dogs, Season 1, Episode 4.
Okay.
So we have been introduced to the Port Mafia proper, specifically 2 members, but one of them being someone who is quite powerful, quite terrifying, literally kills without mercy or remorse, Akutagawa.
Right, and an ability to destroy space.
Yeah, the kind of ability where you need someone like Dazai to basically just be like, and nope, cancel, stop that.
You're canceled.
Get some help.
Yeah.
Now, they had an infiltration plan set up with the girl Higuchi to basically find a way to get access to Atsushi because there's a bounty out on the tiger, specifically seeing him more as his ability and the tiger itself rather than an actual person, which is another like kind of cool. Okay, that's how they kind of see these things. Good to know.
7 billion.
7 billion. With a B.
Yeah. That means, and since that is on behalf of someone else,
right? I mean, someone else put out a 7 billion bounty that sees the white tiger as worth more than 7 billion.
Right.
Because they're willing to pay 7 billion.
So the Port Mafia is just the start.
They are a powerful group that seems to be the element of chaos and power to the ADA, which is more investigative and kind of fixes small problems.
Scrappy, small time.
Yeah, exactly. However, this kind of a movement by them might be the equivalent of them declaring war, because Higuchi was like, you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know anything about us. Like, we're going to bring such hell down upon you. And yet Akutagawa has this respect for Dazai because Dazai
used to be a part of them.
Used to be a part of the Port Mafia.
Yeah.
Which, well. Okay. That's why no one could figure out the bet.
Nope.
And, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, well, we got another comedic ending.
Yeah,
that was
comedic
great.
turn off of a very serious setup. And I feel like
it's exactly like episode 2.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like I'm starting to get a hang for the vibe that this show goes with, because it does have its much more serious moments, like in episode 3, but it also has things like this. And I feel like it's on the one hand, it can be kind of hard to tell the difference of which is what, but on the other hand, I feel like
start bleeding, that's when we know it's actually
right. I feel like there are some pretty decently good tells too, because in this episode and in episode 2, there were moments where when the serious stuff was being done, there was this part of me that's like, hold on, like this seems a bit cliche and cheesy. Like the whole idea of like they meet up and it's like, oh, okay, and the leader guy's entrance when he deals with the people that are selling their stuff and all that stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, power absorption redirection, that seems great, right? But then when the people show up and it's like, they immediately go to like try to kill each other, and it's like, oh, but we're doing it at the same time. It's like that's campy with the way it was being done. Like,
which means it's set up for comedy, which is hilarious that they actually made us think for a little bit that we're like, but they could be actually really serious with this here.
Right. And it's one of those things where every time this happens, I'm glad it doesn't end up being something that's serious, because I wouldn't really be able to take that as seriously. Like the whole idea of like, oh, Gin, he's behind you. I'm like, oh, okay, that's all right, that's kind of fun. But then, like, they immediately go to, like, oh, we're going to kill each other. And then he's like, hey, if you don't want to be labeled as KIA, I'm like, all right. But then there's also the thing of, like, wait a minute, you're sending 3 people with powers, even with a bunch of guys with machine guns. That's cool.
And the old guy was built up to be really strong, and he has an ability that's quite useful.
But when Akutagawa said, you know what? I'm not going to mess with you, Dazai. And Dazai is just one of the people from the agency, and you're sending 3 people who probably aren't on the level of Akutagawa.
I actually assumed the old guy would have been on the level of Akutagawa.
I could have seen that.
I would have basically put it as a thing of where the old guy, he had potential to be pretty strong.
Yeah, because I thought he might have originally been like the actual leader of the Port Mafia, but turns out he was a leader of a group within it.
But you want to know something that's funny? We didn't pick up on the meta of this at all.
What?
We still don't know what the abilities of the squad do yet. So they cannot lose a fight until they actually show what their abilities do.
Oh, that's right.
Because there's no way of knowing why they should win or lose. So the main one you don't want to have them do is lose.
When you don't know why.
When you don't know why. If you have them win, it's okay because it builds up.
Of cool.
Right, yeah, it builds up the rule of cool surrounding what they are doing to win.
Basically, it tells us that Dopo can do things that are cooler than make a little grapple pistol.
Well, also, just because you have all these people with spirit powers and such, it doesn't mean necessarily that they're weak physically.
So what you're saying is that unlike the president's power, maybe not necessarily all people with spirit powers are created equal.
Yeah.
I see. But yeah.
Okay. We get some fun, campy setup for a comedic finale, which is great. But we had a couple things in here that I feel like are worthy of a little bit of extra, like, kind of note-taking here. Akutagawa is focused on intimidating someone who he wants to give a reason to live towards, which is odd. So this is a character that seems to be dressed
this is
in
the real serious
feminine
stuff
attire. Yeah.
In the episode.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea of then cutting from a reason to live being given by the captor to the captive, cutting then to Dazai immediately after that, engaging in a comedic bit, and Dazai saying, I found my reason to live.
Right.
Which is like, okay.
Which is to die with you. And then, of course, and it's not the landlord or anything like that. No, it's just one of the people at the cafe below them.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just, no, you have such a massive tab, it would take life insurance in order to
It doesn't have to be someone below them, though, but it probably is.
The way she said, like, on the fourth floor, I got the feeling that was like a...
I will go to the fourth floor, so it could be somewhere else.
Okay, that's
possible. The point is that she knows about the agency.
Right.
She knows that this is what he's about, but the roast of...
You have no money.
Do you not have a life insurance policy? Because I will refer you to one.
Yeah,
which is
so
amazing.
that you can pay your tab
when
after you die.
Yes, exactly.
Like, that's...
that was the biggest burn we've had in this show thus far.
I think so.
In addition to this whole thing where they're potentially framing Akutagawa and Dazai as some kind of rivals, maybe born out of some past conflict, kind of thing, with when Dazai was a member of the Port Mafia. There is this bit with Higuchi where she basically has her pride like accosted in some way because of the way Akutagawa was belittled, thwarted so easily. Basically saying that in some ways, for the purpose of this episode, the Port Mafia has really strong people that were rinsed by the ADA. But Akutagawa was not rinsed. He was barely held back by someone that has the ability to just nullify his abilities as far as what we've seen Dazai can do thus far.
So it could be something where it's that he's the only one who can kind of stop Akutagawa, you know?
Right.
Because he stops everybody.
Yeah, and he is so strong that it would almost be absurd to send him in because you're either going to have him completely destroy them, or you risk your best weapon going in and getting neutralized countered by some dumb power that hits him with one thing and then it's over.
Yep.
So that's kind of an interesting bit there in that it's being built up and there was no capitulation on it in this episode.
Right. It is something where I'm a little bit curious moving forward. Because, I'm curious how my perspective on the show will change as we get a better feel for how the show works. Because in this episode, there's the comedic twist at the end. But one of the things that, as I get a better feel for when things are comedic versus serious, like the campy seriousness that's set up for comedy, that will then become part of the joke all in the build-up, right? Because we know that there's going to be some like some comedic twist, right?
And then we're just trying to figure out the punchline because
Exactly. Right.
there's probably no way we could completely guess it, but we'll be able to smell it coming. Yeah.
And the part that I'm just a little bit worried about, I get the feeling that this will just never happen with Akutagawa in general. So if he's on the scene, we can basically know we're safe from that. But I can just see the world line where I end up thinking something is a campy setup for a cheesy comedic like turnaround, and then it's not.
Oh, I'm not worried about that one. I'm worried about the other one where we think it's actually consistently dramatic build up for something, and it always gets undercut by comedy.
Right, exactly.
That's never going to happen in the always sense. But I feel like
and the scene with Akutagawa
like
and the girl is a good example of that.
Yeah. I feel like the inverse is less of a problem in the long term because we're going to be genuinely surprised in a visceral way.
Right.
But with a comedic way, it's more light and it's more like
seeing how it happens.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because the dangerous things with comedy or with jokes that take a long time to set up is you're basically banking even more on the thing being funny. And if it's not, then that setup can feel kind of like wasted time.
Sure.
Right? Now, we got a lot of great banter with the characters and things like that. And all of this was tied into our main character's
Atsushi, yep.
emotional struggle, right?
His thing about being rejected, being wanted, being needed, being cast out. The idea that he had his little moment on the sidewalk there and he was like, I'm trash.
Right.
This is how it always is going to be. At the end, he's like, so, like, remember back to, like, how are you needed here?
Right.
What's the best way that you can fit in, basically? And he's like, oh, right. No, he wasn't saying, like, what value do I have? He was like, where are you going to put your value?
Yep.
I don't want you just lazing around.
Yeah.
You and your younger generation, you to get some criticism and you have to run away. No, let's put you to work.
Help me carry stuff.
Yeah, help me clean shit up in here.
If we're going to already not turn you in for the 70 billion, or 7 billion yen, 70 million US dollars. That's what I just keep in mind is the equivalent.
Just do 7 billion
7
yen.
billion yen. Do your best to try and make it worth it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just by cleaning.
And that's the thing that's important there. They never really draw anything about the bounty as being some great burden to them because this was the worst case scenario. It's easy for them to protect him.
Right.
If anything, I was almost expecting them to go the cliche route of, we couldn't protect you if you went away. But instead, it was a thing of, no. You get a little bit of negative feedback and you start crying? What the heck, dude? We need you to help us around here.
Right.
Not to pay off your bounty or not to make you worthwhile as a protective investment, but just as you're a part of our group.
Yeah.
So we expect things from you.
Exactly.
There's a lot of power that comes from giving someone the communication in a very direct way that we expect you to participate. And not just participate in just I'm here, but contribute. Because it basically then says, well, you have something to contribute.
Right.
Even if it's just menial hard labor, that's still a contribution.
Which is a great so the thing that I brought up in the previous episode of how there seem to be a lot of characters in the show that don't necessarily have powers, and like how would they find a place in this world where there are people with crazy abilities and stuff. Well, apparently just fine. Because even if all the things that they can do is be a secretary or help throw bodies out of a 4th-story window, it all helps, right? It adds up and it's appreciated.
Yeah. All right. Cool. That's fantastic. Now, this world is absolutely chaotic, and I do not know how it runs at all, given that they're tossing bodies out of the 4th floor. But I feel like for now, the show is doing a good job of basically saying, hey, we're going very light on you in the world building.
And probably to prepare us for future stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Other stories often make this mistake of dumping way too much world building exposition stuff.
That is very true.
Beginning.
Yeah.
And this story almost had a meta joke in the dark arm of the specific organization that's very terrifying. No, rinsed immediately.
Yeah.
Basically saying, hold on a minute. Let's stay with the characters here because that's where the story is going to be.
And if anything,
you need more time to warm up to them, get to know them, and see what they're about. And in some ways, That's kind of why Dazai needed to not really be in this episode. Because he just kind of steals
Sure.
the scenes of everywhere he's in.
Yep.
Because he's a drama queen, just
Absolutely.
just drawing everyone's attention.
You don't hire Johnny Young Bosch or
Mamoru Miyano.
Mamoru Miyano.
It's
Why did I
okay.
say that?
It's
Why
okay.
did I say that?
Yeah.
Point is,
I called his notebooks the Iliad in the beginning. So
that's true.
So it's
that,
all
that
good.
does make me feel
I
a
do
little
want
bit
to
better.
see what it actually had written on it upside
I feel
down.
like it was just like something like notes or something like that.
Well, I don't think it had that, though. I think it had something that had like an L, like something or other.
Yeah.
But I just want to...
Also, apparently they've got a kinky doctor.
Yes, they have a kinky doctor.
Okay, because why not? And hey,
Okay, here it is.
ideal.
Oh, it's ideal.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm dumb.
Okay.
Because it's upside down. It
Yeah.
messed with my head a little bit there.
So, but this also goes to show that whole thing with the doctor, that was actually clever foreshadowing for the rest of the episode. Because just like the good action, right, that we would have loved to seen was off screen, that was foreshadowed by the
Subversion.
action being off screen. with the doctor. See? You know, it's
Yeah.
it's seeding it in our minds.
I like it personally because it's also a thing of where we get some third person omniscient perspective, like quite a bit. But when it comes down to like specific things that like the character wouldn't be able to just assume off of observation, we don't get to see the abilities of what's actually going on there. So it's left up to his imagination.
Also, I'm surprised that this joke wasn't made, but it might just be because of his weretiger-ness. He doesn't really need actual medical help. It was more just him being in the hospital to like rest and stuff.
Yeah,
But
probably.
once you heard those things going on in there, Atsushi, you didn't at all question of, wait a minute, did that happen to me while I was asleep?
Who knows?
Just saying.
So y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. So you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yes, if ain't that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb,
I'm Jacob.
and we'll see you all next time.